only one of two conclusions. One is they're idiots, they're incompetents, they had no idea what they're doing. And there's some sense around that because the local U.S. attorney in Georgia wanted no part of this mess. It was being directed by Washington through Missouri into Georgia. The FBI special agent in charge in Georgia didn't seem to like it much. He got run out of his job, presumably for objecting to this nonsense. But there's a worse theory than that this was a completely incompetent screw-up of a search warrant execution. And that is, they didn't mind leaving all these holes for a future defendant, somebody charged on the basis of that evidence, to exploit. They didn't mind opening these unnecessary vulnerabilities in a case for a defendant who might later be charged to exploit, because they never thought there would be a defendant. The point wasn't to do a criminal prosecution or even a criminal investigation. The point was to use the search warrant process falsely in order to get their hands on a massive amount of voter data in a swing state. That's being litigated right now, and we will find out. But that's the kind of effort by this administration to use the federal government to seize private voter data that would be exactly consistent with why we need to worry about DHS, which only wants the right people to vote, getting a massive amount of personal voter data. In Rhode Island, our Secretary of State is fighting that right now because he understands that Rhode Islanders want their voter data to be private, to be safe, and not to be part of some massive political election interference operation run using ICE, using FBI, using DHS, and using this voter information to hand out to political operatives, to make sure that a weaponized federal government is not used to try to throw the election. It is no small thing to have the Department of Homeland Security want data on every voting American. In recent years, Republican heads would have exploded about that idea. It used to be a party that cared about voter privacy, that in the contest between an individual and the government tried to take the side of the individual. But now that their billionaires control the government, flip, now they're on the side of the government, and they want your data. It's so bad that it seems they've even had one of their little muskrats, the doggy boys, running around in government. You remember that operation when Musk was the president's close advisor and there were Doge people? Turns out there may even have been your Social Security data taken. We'll find out more about that. So this is no small thing, and if you want to know what the motive is, just ask the people who are running this. We just want to make sure the right people vote. We'll never lose a race for 50 years if you pass this bill. It'll guarantee the midterms. You're going to win the midterms at levels you can't even believe, and you're going to win every election for a long time. That is putting the fix in. That is using the power of government to put the fix in to fix the elections that choose who runs the government. That is about as un-American as it gets. So why is it that they're so afraid about the midterms? What is it that makes them have to put in place mechanisms, from voter ID to registration restrictions to data control, that will give them the tools to guarantee the midterms? Why not run on the record? Because the record stinks. That's why. And voters know it. This is where President Trump's approval rating has gone. He's down 15%. He's down more than 25% since when he came in. That is a crash in confidence. And I believe this ended before this Iran, what did he call it, excursion, that has driven up gas prices by about $1 a gallon already with no end in sight. So they're looking at an election disaster, and for a really good reason. Here are Trump's job approval ratings. His disapprovals have been going up and up and up to nearly 60. His approval has been going down and down and down to below 40. There is a more than 20-point swing between his disapproval and his approval. That is a politically lethal place to be. That is a signal that you have made such a mess of your unified control of government that voters want something different, want something new, want a change, are sick of the nonsense. And when you're looking at that, and you're looking just a few months down at November, man, time to make sure you change the law so that we can make sure the right people are voting. And let's take a look at a few examples of why it is that Trump's disapproval is more than 20 points above his approval. Why is it that they are in such trouble politically? Why is it that these approval ratings have dropped 15 points and 25 from net zero, from before net zero? This is a real problem. And we're not the only ones looking at this data. The billionaires who run the Republican Party these days, the billionaires who tell Trump what to do and boss him around and give him big gifts and super deals for his family and his cronies and his friends, they're watching this too. They've never had it so good right now. They can basically secretly, quietly run the United States government through the Republican Party. What a deal. Poor man want to be rich, rich man want to be king. And they get to be king from the shadows with dark money and influence and a Republican Party that hops to their tune. So they're not happy either. That's why they need emergency measures that will guarantee the midterms. That's what we're involved in today, trying to make sure that elections are fair, trying to make sure that everybody has a shot to vote, trying to make sure that for real, this is an election that reflects what the American people get to choose. Why are those numbers so terrible for Trump and Republicans? Because things aren't so great for the American people right now. Annual cost of residential electricity is up in almost every state in the last year. In some cases, it is up a lot. $278, $210, $123, $159, $171 up in Maine. People understand that their electric bills are going up. And if they're paying attention, they understand that their electricity bills are going up because Trump and his administration are deliberately pushing clean energy away from the grid. They're deliberately keeping cheap, clean energy off the grid so that for any given level of demand, the grid has to go where if it doesn't have the cheap, clean energy? It has to go to the polluting fossil fuel plants. And those plants set the grid price when they're called up. And when they set the grid price, they're more expensive than clean energy. So everybody's costs go up. And all that excess money, the billions of dollars that get sucked out of consumers' pockets, out of ratepayers' pockets, when they have to pay the higher prices of fossil fuel compared to the lower prices of clean energy, that whole delta of billions of dollars flows where? Right, to Trump's billionaire fossil fuel donors, to the ones that he went to in Mar-a-Lago and said, give me $1 billion and I'll give you everything you want. I need your money to win this race. And what did they do? They coughed up hundreds of millions of dollars. Did they get to the billion? We don't know because so much of the money is so dark. But we know they got hundreds of millions to Trump. And now he's paying them back by stopping and slowing down clean energy, which would lower costs for people. And instead, he drives the cost up. And that's why so much of this is happening. I'll give you an example. The Trump administration has messed around twice with the offshore wind farm off of Rhode Island called Revolution Wind. Out of the clear blue sky, for no cause, they dropped a stop work order on the project, stopping it dead when it was about 80+% complete. Well, that caused them a little problem because the Trump administration had been in court defending that very project against fossil fuel front groups who were suing it to slow down its arrival on the grid. So the lawyers, the like regular, normal federal lawyers who were in there defending this, defending their permit, suddenly had to pull a 180 about the same project in the same courtroom and suddenly say, oh no, that project that we've been defending until this minute is suddenly now all bad because of this ridiculous stop work order. Well, the judge didn't take long to throw out that stop work order because it was illegal and even preposterous. And the Trump administration then let the appeal period expire, so there's no longer a time to appeal it. So it's like, okay, that's done. Back to work, everybody. And sure enough, they went back to work. And what happened 30 days later, 2 days before Christmas, without notice, men and women going out to work on these projects were told, nope, new stop work order. Sorry about your Christmas. Not sure when you'll ever come back to work. Too bad you were relying on all those nice wages. You're done now. Well, fortunately for the project, that second stop work order crashed and burned in court just as badly as the first illegal stop work order had. My point is they went to enormous illegal effort to slow down that project. Why? Because by contract, Revolution Wind is going to bring 9-cent kilowatt hours to our Rhode Island grid. 9-cent kilowatt hours is what they sell for by contract. And how much does it cost on our grid on average? 18 cents. Revolution Wind was going to bring 350,000 homes worth of low-cost, 9-cent clean power onto our grid. So they wanted to stop it. Because then, without that clean, inexpensive power, the grid would have to go up, 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 what they call the generation stack, calling up more and more different units to burn gas and oil and make electricity. And all that extra money gets moved from customers' pockets to Trump's big donors, his big fossil fuel donors. It is a scheme. It is on purpose. These people may not know it yet, but by November, I hope they will learn that the reason their electric rates went up was on purpose. On purpose. So that Trump and his cronies could pay off his big fossil fuel donors with all that extra revenue from their delay and their blocking of cheaper, cleaner energy. In the billions. In the billions. And of course, it's not just electricity, where people know that they have an administration that is not looking out for them, that is looking out for the big corporations, the big polluters, the big donors. Probably can't read this, so I'll read it. My cost of living has increased 80 to 16. My grocery costs have gone up 79 to 17. My utility costs, like electricity, have gone up 69 to 22. These are huge numbers that match the dissatisfaction I showed already with where Trump is. More than 20 points in the hole with voters and going the wrong way.
Senator Whitehouse on Capitol Hill right now. It's time for us to take a quick commercial break. Our coverage returning in a moment.
Feel stronger, move better, get lean in just 20 minutes. At Body Street Jupiter Abacoa, EMS training activates up to 90% of your muscles in a single session. That means you burn fat, build strength, improve flexibility and mobility, and reduce joint and back pain. All low impact, all personalized, all in only 20 minutes. Your first workout is free. Use code FREE26 and book now at bodystreetjupiter.com.
Does everybody know what time it is?
Now there's raw power.
Ready, set.
Please, Lord, don't let our house blow up.
We're running a tool time marathon. Do you mind if I interrupt your vacation?
Crack my coconut, Jim.
That is crazy.
I've never seen anything like this object on the roadshow, and I've been doing it 21 years.
That's unbelievable.
Okay, in